Welcome to Sleep Story Time. Before we begin, take a moment to find a comfortable position. Adjust your pillows. Pull the blankets up to your chin and let your body sink into the mattress. Close your eyes. Take a deep, slow breath in. Hold it for a moment and slowly let it go. Release any tension from your day. This is your time to rest. Let the story of the cabin of gentle dreams guide you into a deep, peaceful sleep. It was still, with soft, velvety darkness stretching over the world like a gentle blanket. The moon, full and round, hung in the sky like a silent guardian, casting its cool light across everything below. The stars shimmered faintly, scattered across the heavens in a quiet dance, each one offering a small, peaceful glow. The world seemed to hold its breath as if it, too, was awaiting something tender and calm. On the edge of a small forest, nestled between the tall, whispering trees, stood a cabin. Its wooden walls, aged with time, had a rich, warm hue that contrasted with the coolness of night. The cabin was simple, with a thatched roof that seemed to melt into the surrounding forest, almost as though it had grown there naturally, part of the land itself. A chimney puffed out a faint wisp of smoke, curling upward and vanishing into the night sky. The faint scent of wood and earth lingered in the air, mingling with the fresh scent of pine and moss. The pathway leading to the cabin was soft underfoot, covered in a blanket of fallen leaves that crunched gently with each step. The trees, their branches swaying lightly in the breeze, whispered secrets to one another, their leaves rustling like soft murmurs. Every so often, a small creature would scurry across the path, disappearing quickly into the underbrush, leaving only a soft echo in the night air. The light from the moon illuminated the surroundings, giving everything a silvery glow. It washed over the forest floor, casting long, soft shadows that seemed to dance in rhythm with the gentle breeze. The air was cool but not cold, carried with it the sweet scent of flowers that bloomed only under the cover of darkness. There was a sense of magic in the air, something unspoken yet undeniable, as though this place was a secret, a hidden gem of peace and quiet, untouched by the rushing world. The path twisted slightly, leading toward a small garden that surrounded the cabin. It was a garden that seemed to have been tended with great care, though there was no sign of who had tended it. The flowers, delicate and vibrant, grew in clusters, their petals soft and luminous in the moonlight. Some were closed, their blooms tightly shut as if resting, while others were fully open, their colors faintly glowing in the dim light. Lavender, jasmine, and wild roses grew together in a fragrant tapestry, their sweet perfume drifting on the night breeze. A stone fountain sat in the middle of the garden, the water within it as still as glass, reflecting the moon and the stars above. The surface of the water shimmered with an ethereal light, as though it, too, was part of the sky. The faintest ripple occasionally disturbed the water's surface, as if the earth itself was breathing slowly and deeply. It was a kind of peaceful sound that would lull even the most restless mind into calmness. At the far side of the garden, the cabin stood, its windows glowing softly from within, the warm light spilling out onto the stones below. The light was gentle, inviting, as though it were reaching out to welcome any who approached. The door, made of dark wood and adorned with simple carvings, was slightly ajar, as though waiting for someone to enter. The air seemed to hum with a quiet anticipation, and the space felt timeless, untouched by the outside world. As you stepped on the garden's soft earth, the gentle sound of the wind through the trees and the distant call of an owl were the only sounds that accompanied you. The world beyond this garden seemed distant, a place removed from the peace that surrounded you now. Everything felt slower here, as though time itself had taken a deep breath and decided to pause for a while. The worries, the noise, the rush, all of it seemed to belong to another world, a world that could not reach the serene corner of the night. The door of the cabin opened further as you approached, inviting you inside. The air was warm, with a gentle, earthy scent that seemed to embrace you. The interior of the cabin was simple, cozy, with wooden beams that crisscrossed the ceiling, their edges smoothed by years of use. A small fireplace sat against one wall, the embers glowing faintly, casting a soft, flickering light across the room. The stone floor was covered in a thick, woven rug, its colors deep and earthy, adding warmth to the room. There was a low wooden table in the center, surrounded by comfortable chairs. A small bookshelf sat against one wall, filled with books whose spines were gently worn from use. Everything in the cabin spoke of quiet, contented living, of a life lived slowly and deliberately, without hurry. It was a place that seemed to have been created for rest, for moments of stillness, for moments when the world outside could be forgotten. The night was still, with soft, velvety darkness stretching over the world like a gentle blanket. The moon, full and round, hung in the sky like a silent guardian, casting its cool light across everything below. The stars shimmered faintly, scattered across the heavens in a quiet dance, each one offering a small, peaceful glow. The world seemed to hold its breath as if it, too, was awaiting something tender and calm. On the edge of a small forest, nestled between the tall, whispering trees, stood a cabin. Its wooden walls, aged with time, had a rich, warm hue that contrasted with the coolness of the night. The cabin was simple, with a thatched roof that seemed to melt into the surrounding forest, almost as though it had grown there naturally, part of the land itself. A chimney puffed out a faint wisp of smoke, curling upward and vanishing into the night sky. The faint scent of wood and earth lingered in the air, mingling with the fresh scent of pine and moss. The pathway leading to the cabin was soft underfoot, covered in a blanket of fallen leaves that crunched gently with each step. The trees, their branches swaying lightly in the breeze, whispered secrets to one another, their leaves rustling like soft murmurs. Every so often, a small creature would scurry across the path, disappearing quickly into the underbrush, leaving only a soft echo in the night air. The light from the moon illuminated the surroundings, giving everything a silvery glow. It washed over the forest floor, casting long, soft shadows that seemed to dance in rhythm with the gentle breeze. The air was cool but not cold, carried with it the sweet scent of flowers that bloomed only under the cover of darkness. There was a sense of magic in the air, something unspoken yet undeniable, as though this place was a secret, a hidden gem of peace and quiet, untouched by the rushing world. The path twisted slightly, leading toward a small garden that surrounded the cabin. It was a garden that seemed to have been tended with great care, though there was no sign of who had tended it. The flowers, delicate and vibrant, grew in clusters, their petals soft and luminous in the moonlight. Some were closed, their blooms tightly shut as if resting, while others were fully open, their colors faintly glowing in the dim light. Lavender, jasmine, and wild roses grew together in a fragrant tapestry, their sweet perfume drifting on the night breeze. A stone fountain sat in the middle of the garden, the water within it as still as glass, reflecting the moon and the stars above. The surface of the water shimmered with an ethereal light, as though it, too, was part of the sky. The faintest ripple occasionally disturbed the water's surface, as if the earth itself was breathing slowly and deeply. It was a kind of peaceful sound that would lull even the most restless mind into calmness. At the far side of the garden, the cabin stood, its windows glowing softly from within, the warm light spilling out onto the stones below. The light was gentle, inviting, as though it were reaching out to welcome any who approached. The door, made of dark wood and adorned with simple carvings, was slightly ajar, as though waiting for someone to enter. The air seemed to hum with a quiet anticipation, and the space felt timeless, untouched by the outside world. As you stepped onto the garden's soft earth, the gentle sound of the wind through the trees and the distant call of an owl were the only sounds that accompanied you. The world beyond this garden seemed distant, a place removed from the peace that surrounded you now. Everything felt slower here, as though time itself had taken a deep breath and decided to pause for a while. The worries, the noise, the rush, all of it seemed to belong to another world, a world that could not reach the serene corner of the night. The door of the cabin opened further as you approached, inviting you inside. The air was warm, with a gentle, earthy scent that seemed to embrace you. The interior of the cabin was simple, cozy, with wooden beams that crisscrossed the ceiling, their edges smoothed by years of use. A small fireplace sat against one wall, the embers glowing faintly, casting a soft, flickering light across the room. The stone floor was covered in a thick, woven rug, its colors deep and earthy, adding warmth to the room. There was a low wooden table in the center, surrounded by comfortable chairs. A small bookshelf sat against one wall, filled with books whose spines were gently worn from use. Everything in the cabin spoke of quiet, contented living, of a life lived slowly and deliberately, without hurry. It was a place that seemed to have been created for rest, for moments of stillness, for moments when the world outside could be forgotten. A gentle breeze whispered through the open window, carrying with it the faintest sound of the stream, its waters trickling softly over smooth stones. The sound was distant, almost like a lullaby, soothing and calm. The air was fresh, the scent of earth and flowers mixing with the warmth of the cabin. It was the kind of space that invited you to linger, to sit for a while and simply be. As you settled into one of the chairs by the fire, the warmth of the flames reaching out to you, you could feel the tension in your body slowly melting away. The softness of the air, the quiet of the garden, the gentle flicker of the fire, it all worked together, creating an atmosphere of pure tranquility. This was a space for peace, a space for quiet moments, a space for rest. Everything here, from the soft glow of the moon to the stillness of the night, was designed to ease the mind and calm the spirit. Outside, the world was still, the night wrapping the cabin and the garden in its embrace. The stars above twinkled like distant dreams, and the moon shone gently, casting its light on everything, as though offering a soft blessing for the night to come. And within the cabin, the warmth of the fire and the silence of the night seemed to promise a restful sleep, a deep, peaceful slumber without the weight of the world. Here, in this quiet haven, there was nothing to do but breathe, to let the gentle rhythm of the night guide you into rest. And so, with the moonlight streaming through the window and the fire crackling softly in the hearth, the stillness wrapped around you like a comforting blanket, inviting you to close your eyes and drift off into a world where only peace existed. And for a moment, everything was still, everything was calm, everything was as it should be. The fire crackled softly in the hearth, the flames licking the air with quiet ease. The warmth it provided was gentle, not too intense, but just enough to chase away the coolness of the night air that filtered in through the open window. The soft, golden glow of the fire flickered on the wooden beams of the ceiling, casting fleeting shadows that danced like slow-moving ghosts, their motion so subtle that they almost seemed to belong to the very fabric of the cabin itself. As you sank deeper into the chair, your body seemed to mold itself into the soft cushions, the fabric worn and familiar. The chair was solid yet forgiving, a perfect balance between support and comfort. The weight of the day, whatever had been carried, seemed to lift slowly, as though the chair were not just cradling you, but gently coaxing the tension out of your body, one breath at a time. The muscles in your shoulders, which had tightened over the course of the day, began to loosen, melting into the fabric. The deep, calming rhythm of the crackling fire, the soft glow from its embers, and the cool air from outside all worked in harmony, creating a cocoon of comfort that seemed to expand with every passing moment. You let your gaze wander around the room, taking in the quiet simplicity of your surroundings. The cabin was small, but it held within it a sense of spaciousness, as though the walls themselves were holding back nothing. The stone floor, warm underfoot, had been smoothed by time and use, each step leaving a subtle impression, as if it too had been part of the journey. Along one wall, shelves lined with books stood in quiet rows, their spines worn in places, their titles gently fading with age. The soft scent of parchment and wood clung to them, as though they held within them not just stories, but the very breath of the past. The books looked inviting, though the quiet of the room made you feel as though there was no rush to open them. They could wait. Everything here could wait. The wooden walls of the cabin, dark and rich, embraced the room with a natural warmth. They seemed to breathe with the air around them, their grain running like delicate veins, tracing paths of time that whisper of years and seasons, of life lived quietly in the embrace of nature. The wooden beams above, though simple in structure, added a sense of height to the room, drawing your gaze upward as if to remind you of the vast sky above. Even within the comforting walls of the cabin, the floor beneath you was smooth and soft, the texture of a well-loved surface that had been walked on by many feet, yet always remained steady and sure. On the far side of the room, a window, framed in wood, invited the night in. Through it, you could see the quiet world outside, bathed in the pale light of the moon. It was a soft, ethereal glow, like a tender kiss from the heavens themselves, casting everything in shades of silver and blue. The window was slightly open, allowing the cool air of the night to drift in and mingle with the warmth inside. The sound of the breeze, soft and gentle, moved the leaves outside, creating a delicate rustling that was barely audible but felt more than heard, like a whispering lullaby. You let your eyes wander to the window, and as you did, you felt the sensation of being suspended in time. The world outside was quiet, still, nothing moving with haste or hurry. The trees, with their leaves gently swaying the breeze, seemed to be swaying with the very breath of the earth, as though they too were finding peace in this quiet moment. The moonlight poured over them, casting long, thin shadows that stretched across the garden, moving slowly and inexorably as the night deepened. It was the kind of movement that wasn't rushed, wasn't forced. It was simply happening. The soft rustling of the leaves became the dominant sound, a slow, rhythmic whisper that seemed to echo the slow, steady pulse of your own breath. You watched the way the shadows shifted on the ground, elongated by the movement of the moon. They seemed to grow and shrink with the passing of time, their movements as slow and deliberate as the gentle pulse of the night. It was a kind of quiet, slow shift that made you aware of the passage of time, but only in the gentlest way. There was no urgency to it, only a sense of calm continuity. The garden outside was bathed in silver, its flowers and plants casting faint shadows that rippled with the breeze. The lavender and roses, which had once seemed so vibrant on the full moon, now appeared asleep, their petals closed gently in rest, their colors softening in the moon's embrace. The night air, cool and refreshing, carried the faintest hint of dew, and you could almost see it, the subtle shimmer on the petals, as though the flowers themselves were drinking in the moisture of the night, as if they too were replenishing their energy under the moon's watchful eye. The delicate scent of jasmine floated through the window, mingling with the coolness of the night, and it seemed to fill the room with a sense of peace, as though the very air had been made to calm the soul. Out beyond the garden, the forest stretched into the horizon, its edges blurred by the dark of the night. The trees stood like silent sentinels, their trunks dark against a lighter sky, their leaves whispering secrets in a language known only to the earth. Every now and then, the faintest movement among the trees caught your eye, an owl, perhaps, gliding silently through the branches. But even that movement was slow, almost imperceptible, as if the owl, too, was aware of the tranquility that surrounded it. The silence was so complete that it was almost tangible. It wrapped around you, held you gently in its embrace, making everything feel softer, slower. The sound of the night, the rustling of the leaves, the whisper of the breeze, the distant trickle of the stream, blended together into a single, soothing hum, a lullaby for the soul. You leaned back into the chair, your eyes still resting on the window, watching the soft moonlight shift across the garden. The shadows on the ground continued to stretch and shrink, their motion so slow, so delicate, that you could easily forget they were moving at all. The light seemed to change with every breath, every passing moment, the brightness of the moon's glow altering ever so slightly as the night deepened. It was as though the night itself was alive, breathing in rhythm with the world, its pulse steady and calm. And here in this quiet, timeless moment, there was no need for movement, no need for anything but to simply be. The world outside the window, with its soft moonlight, gentle breeze, and slow-moving shadows, seemed to exist in a place beyond time, a place where peace was not just a feeling, but a way of being. The fire in the hearth had softened to a gentle glow, the last of its embers flickering with a quiet warmth, casting delicate shadows on the walls. The room had grown quieter still, the air thick with a calm that seemed to settle deeper with every passing moment. The soft rustle of the trees outside, the distant sigh of the wind, and the faint murmur of the stream. These sounds, once distinct, now blended into a peaceful symphony that filled the room with a slow, rhythmic hum. It was the sound of the night, and it was as though the very earth itself were breathing in time with your own breath. Each inhale and exhale stretching out like an endless, gentle wave. Your body, now completely at ease, felt as though it had become part of the chair you rested in. The cushions molded perfectly around you, supporting you in ways that made every small movement unnecessary. You could feel the weight of the world, whatever remnants it held, slowly slipping away, dissolving into the peaceful air of the cabin. Each muscle, each joint relaxed deeper into their resting positions, and you began to feel the pull of sleep, light and gentle, just on the edge of your awareness. The pull wasn't abrupt or sudden. It was like the soft whisper of a lullaby, quiet and coaxing, guiding you into the stillness of the night. The time had come to move, but there was no rush. There was no need to hurry. The cabin seemed to slow time itself, and even the thought of movement felt like something distant, something unimportant. Yet you knew it was time. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, you let your body shift. The weight of your limbs seemed heavier now, though not in an uncomfortable way. The weight was soothing, a reminder how deeply the chair had cradled you, how perfectly it had embraced you. Your legs moved first, slowly sliding toward the floor. The soft surface of the rug beneath your feet welcomed you, cool and smooth against your skin. Each step felt like a small surrender, a release of tension that had been held so long without being noticed. You stood, your feet firm on the ground, but the softness of the cabin's floor seemed to hold you in place, as though the very earth beneath you was steadying your movement. There was no hurry, no urgency in the way your body moved. Each action was deliberate, each step measured in its pace, as if the act of moving from one place to another was part of the same slow, rhythmic flow of the night. The weight of your body shifted from one foot to the other, and it was almost as though the cabin itself was moving with you, the walls and beams keeping their gentle watch over you as you moved. With a deep, quiet breath, you turned toward the small bed nestled in the corner of the cabin. The bed was simple, nothing extravagant, but it was perfect in its simplicity. The blanket on the bed, a soft, knitted throw in gentle shades of cream and moss green, lay like an invitation, its edges slightly curled, welcoming you to its warmth. The bed had been waiting for you, and it seemed to know exactly what was needed. The scent of fresh linens and the faintest trace of lavender drifted through the air, and it was a comfort that settled deep in your chest, a soft embrace from the room itself. As you approached, each movement felt slower, more deliberate. The world outside, the cool night, the whispering trees, the shimmering moon, seemed so far away now, as though you were stepping into a different space, a space where time was gentle, where the earth itself had slowed to match your own pace. You reached the bed, and as you did, the soft, cool linen of the sheets brushed against your fingertips. The sensation was almost electric in its simplicity, a gentle reminder that you were entering a space of rest. The smooth fabric, cool to the touch, invited you in, as if recalling you to surrender yourself fully, to let go of everything that wasn't here. With a soft, slow breath, you climbed into bed, the fabric shifting beneath you as you settled onto the cool sheets. The weight of the blanket draped over you gently, wrapping you in a comforting embrace that seemed to pull you deeper into the bed. The fabric was soft, the warmth of the room seeping into the fibers as you nestled into it. The sensation of the blanket against your skin was comforting, a soft weight that gently pressed you down, urging your body to sink deeper into relaxation. As you settled further, your limbs seemed to grow heavier, the weight of each muscle and joint sinking deeper into the mattress. It was as if the bed itself was holding you, supporting you in a way that made it impossible to resist the pull of rest. You could feel the softness of the mattress beneath you, its contours perfectly molded to your body, providing just the right amount of support. Your head, now resting on the soft pillow, felt as though it were being gently cradled, the fabric cool and smooth against your skin. Your breath slowed, deepening into a peaceful rhythm that matched the quiet pulse of the night. With each exhale, you felt the last traces of tension slip away, disappearing into the softness of the bed, into the stillness of the cabin. The night had wrapped itself around you like a comforting cocoon, and there was nothing left to do but to surrender to it. There were no thoughts, no concerns, only the softening of the world outside and the gentle rhythm of your own breath. Each inhale and exhale becoming slower, more tranquil. As you lay there, the stillness of the room seemed to press in gently on all sides, a comforting weight that made the air feel thick and peaceful. The world beyond the cabin seemed so far away now, as if it faded into a distant dream. The only thing that mattered now was the softness of the sheets, the warmth of the blanket, and the steady, rhythmic pull of sleep, drawing you deeper into its embrace. The air, now still and calm, seemed to whisper to you, urging you to let go of everything. It was a quiet invitation, a reminder that here in this place, there was nothing to hold on to but the peace of the moment. The cabin, the bed, the moonlight outside, all of it seemed to hum with a quiet invitation to rest, to let go, to slip into the kind of sleep that came only after total surrender. And as you allowed your body to relax fully into the softness of the bed, the last of your thoughts faded, like the final embers of a fire, leaving only the quiet hum of the night, the deep rhythm of your breath, and the promise of peaceful sleep just within reach. The air around you had grown still, the room now almost too soft in its quiet, as though the world itself had become a part of the silence. Your body lay completely still on the bed, each muscle heavy and relaxed, perfectly cradled by the soft mattress and the weight of the blanket. The warmth of the room embraced you like a quiet lullaby, and the soft pulse of your breath was the only rhythm in the room. Every inhale was deep and slow, a steady, fluid motion, while every exhale was a soft release, like a whispered sigh slipping from your lips. The gentle flicker of the last embers from the fire seemed to fade into the background, their soft light slowly dimming, leaving only the sound of night. Outside the window, the rustling of the leaves had softened even further, as if the trees themselves were slowly succumbing to the stillness. The wind, once a soft whisper, had become barely audible, its presence only hinted at by the faintest movement of the branches, now nearly motionless. Everything had quieted, as though the earth had exhaled, settling into a deep, peaceful breath. Your mind, once filled with fleeting thoughts, had started to quiet as well, slipping into a gentle, flowing rhythm. Each thought began to dissolve into the air, evaporating like morning mist, leaving behind only the soft, smooth rhythm of your breathing. There was no urgency, no need to hold on to anything. Everything was slipping away, and with it, the weight of the day, the complexities of thought. All that remained was a peace, the gentle pull of sleep that called you deeper, inviting you into the vast, silent sky that was your mind. As you lay there, you began to feel the transition. Your consciousness, once tightly tethered to the room, began to expand. It was a gradual shift, subtle, as if the walls of the cabin, the soft bed beneath you, and the quiet world outside were all becoming distant. Your body, so grounded and present a moment ago, began to feel lighter, as though it were being gently lifted, not in the way of movement, but in the way of pure stillness. It was as though you were floating, no longer bound by the earth, suspended in a soft, weightless void. The room around you, now fading, began to dissolve. The edges of the walls softened, becoming nothing more than whispers of light and shadow, gently fading into the dark velvet of the night. The ceiling above you, once solid and steady, seemed to dissolve like mist, and the room's once defined boundaries blurred and disappeared. You were no longer in the cabin. You were no longer even the world you knew. Instead, you found yourself in a vast, infinite sky, a sky so deep and expansive that it seemed to stretch forever, a place untouched by time. The stars above you twinkled softly, like distant dreams that shimmered in the dark, their light a gentle whisper against the endless expanse of midnight blue. There was no sense of movement, no sense of time. The stars shone in their stillness, unmoving like perfect, eternal witnesses to the quiet of the night. They glimmered faintly, their glow soft and steady, as though they, too, were resting, their light only a gentle echo in the vast silence. As you drifted further into quiet, your breath became slower, each inhale and exhale blending seamlessly into the rhythm of the night. The sound of your breath, once so distinct, now became a soft, soothing whisper, like the breeze brushing through the leaves. Each breath was lighter now, barely more than a sigh, a sound as soft as the rustling of feathers. It was as if your very breath had become the wind itself, a quiet breeze drifting through the endless sky. The world around you, once tangible, had become an abstract dance of light and sound, swirling gently like the soft waves of a distant ocean. You felt your thoughts begin to dissolve entirely, like soft clouds fading into the blue. There were no worries, no concerns, only the soft, vast silence. There were no voices, no movement, only the feeling of being weightless, floating in this boundless sky, where time was relevant and space stretched on forever. You were not moving, yet you felt as though you were part of everything around you, part of the stars, part of the sky, part of the vast, endless peace that filled this infinite space. The feeling of weightlessness began to deepen, and with it, the sense of peace wrapped itself around you like a warm, invisible blanket. The stars above, now mere flickers of light in the distance, seemed to pulse gently like the slow, steady heartbeat of the universe itself. Their rhythm was in perfect harmony with the rhythm of your own breath. The silence was so complete, so all-encompassing, that it felt as though you were breathing in time with the universe. Every inhale a part of the endless, quiet night. There were no thoughts now, no awareness of self, just a soft, warm feeling that washed over you, wrapping you in layers of peace. The sensation of floating in the vast sky, the sensation of being a part of something so much larger than yourself, was so complete that it felt as though there was no distinction between you and the world around you. There was only this gentle, eternal stillness that seemed to have no beginning and no end, just an endless expanse of peace. The edges of your consciousness blurred further, becoming less and less distinct from the vast sky that stretched on forever, the soft glow of the stars, the distant hum of the universe, and the rhythmic whisper of your breath became the only things that existed. The quiet deepened, the darkness thickened, and with each passing moment, your awareness seemed to dissolve further, melting into the eternal embrace of sleep. And as the last trace of your consciousness began to fade away, there was nothing but the gentle pull of rest, the warmth of peace, the coolness of the vast, infinite sky that held you. There was no need for anything else. No thoughts, no feelings, no sensations, just a quiet, eternal rest that came with surrender, with letting go, with allowing yourself to drift into the vastness of this beautiful, peaceful, infinite sleep. And in that final moment, all that remained was the dark velvet of the sky, the soft shimmer of the stars, and the quiet breath of night, taking you into its arms and cradling you in its endless, loving silence. The sleep had come, the world had melted away, and there was only peace forever.